Welcome back to the Nour Hadidi podcast. I'm so excited for today's episode. I have one of my very good friends, fellow comedian, John Mostyn. Woo! John is one of my very, very, very good friends. And we talked about mental health and Palestine and living in Canada. And it was just so lovely and nice. I hope you guys enjoy it. Please give us 5 stars on Spotify. And you can follow John at J Mostyn Comedy. John and I are going to see Oasis. We're so excited. John's going 2 nights in a row.
I am.
So wait, so you were going to see Oasis when? The Saturday?
And
you're also
Sunday and Monday. You were going on a Monday.
I'm going. You got the schedule.
I need to go on one myself.
Okay, but you bought 2 tickets for the Sunday.
I don't know what I'll do with it, but I need to go myself because I don't think anyone will be as crazy with me because I'm going to go up and not pee or move or, down front, probably cry, So maybe I need to do it myself.
Those are like standing tickets, right?
So I want to get down the front.
Are you going to go like super early and try and get something at the front?
Yeah, I think so. And then I'm going to have to train my brain into like not having to pee for like an army guy.
You could get an adult diaper.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I don't know if you get them in the
ads on
bar.
Instagram?
No, it's in Comedy Bar, the men's bathroom. There's like ads for those.
Okay.
Above the urinal. And every time I'm peeing, I look at it and I'm like, and at first you laugh at them, but after a while you're like, actually, you know what? These make sense. Like, I wouldn't mind. Like, they look comfortable.
Yeah.
Discreet.
They are. You just need to get baggy pants that no one knows what's happening.
I also don't think I could pee. Like, even if I had that, I don't think I could pee. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I could just let myself pee. So I'm just going to go dehydrated.
Really?
I'll wait till, like, Oasis come on.
And then you'll drink your
first
water?
And then as soon as they come on, I'll drink. And then I'm like, okay, I'll be good for an hour and a half. I can do that.
Wow.
But I'll be training myself. No coffees.
Wow.
For a month leading up to it.
Oh my, you're serious about
fasting.
this.
It'd be like fasting.
It is. Well, you fasted for Ramadan this year. I'm trying to get you to join Islam. At first it was soft. Now I'm like hard. I'm like trying to get you over to our side. But Why did you fast for Ramadan this year?
I fasted for a couple of reasons. One, I was like, well, I wanted to see, because you and other friends, Hisham, and you do that every month. Every year.
Every year, yeah.
And I was kind of like, wonder what that experience is. And I was like, this is going to bring me closer to my friends because this is something they go through that they're just going through on their own or with other, like they're feeling a little isolated from people who aren't Muslim, right? And then they're just trying to get away. So I was like, I wonder what this is like. And I was also like, I put on a bit of weight, so I was like, this might be a good excuse under the guise of friendship to try and lose some weight.
But you actually had me and Hisham over for iftar. You made us iftar while you were fasting, and it was probably my favorite iftar meal I've had in so long.
Yeah.
It was, you made us vegan tacos.
Vegan tacos. You know that's the classic iftar meal of vegan tacos?
Yes. That's what the Prophet and his disciples used to eat.
I did read the Quran before I to see if that was fine.
You also made us soup. You made us lentil soup.
Yes.
It was incredible.
Well, actually, what I realized was, all the stuff that you break fast with and eat is all the stuff I love. I love lentil soup.
Yeah.
I love dates. I love hummus.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I'm like, I could eat that every day.
Because you're vegan, and these are things that you are packed with protein and sugars that you have. Yeah. It's so good.
And the 4 pillars, is it 4 pillars of Islam or whatever? It's
there's 5.
5, sorry, apologies. 5. It's now 4, actually. No, I'm just kidding. That's 5. You got rid of 1. No, are close to what the ethics of veganism is as well.
Really?
Right?
I didn't know that.
It is, right? It's close. It's just without the religion, and it's more like geared towards not eating animals, but like it is like, in religion and Islam and stuff, it's like, taking care of everyone, animals, sentient beings, don't cause any harm, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But with veganism goes a step further of like, not eating any or killing any or harming any, right? Yeah. So, but it's close. So that's kind of how I've been living anyway, so it wasn't, I never fasted before, which was I actually thought it would be hard. Well, not hard. It was hard. Sorry, I don't want to minimize it.
Harder
but
than you.
I thought it was going to be like impossible.
Okay.
But actually, after like the first few days. I mean, I called you the first day.
Yeah.
I don't know when the iftar was, like 6 p.m. or something, and we were supposed to meet, and you were like, I want to buy you iftar. It's your first Ramadan. And we got on the phone, and we're both just so angry. And we couldn't decide of a place to go, and we're just kind of like, you know what, I'm just going to do this myself, because we're both just like, I don't want to come to you. You're not going to come to me. And then I went to the
we did have plans and we canceled them.
I was so hangry, and like but I also couldn't. I was just like counting down the minutes as well.
Yes.
But then I went to the shawarma place across the street, and I felt bad because the ladies working there were ready to break their fast, and then I come in. I'm like, can I get a lentil soup? And then they still had to work for a bit. But yeah. Yeah, no, it was good. The first couple of days were hard, you know, but then when you start getting used to it, you're just like, it's fine. I thought not drinking water would be an issue. The not eating thing wasn't as bad as I thought, but like not drinking water wasn't that bad. And then I realized I drink so much liquid all the time.
Right.
And I don't actually need it. And I'll be honest, it actually made me like have more energy and more upbeat. And, you know, when I did break fast or whatever, I thought at first I'd be like, oh, I'm just going to, and actually it's the reverse. You drink a little bit, you have a little stuff to eat, and then you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember you told me when you went in to get the shawarma, the girls were breaking their fast together, but then another girl came in and she was fasting, and they offered for her to break their fast with them.
Yeah, well, this girl came in behind me, like in a panic almost. She's like, do you guys sell dates?
Yeah, that's the Muslim.
Right? And
Panic.
But it was like panic, and she's like, do you sell dates? I need to break fast. And then the girls working behind there were like, no, but we have our own dates. Would you like to break your fast? I need a place. She was like, I need a place to pray. She's like, come sit with us and pray and all that. And meanwhile, me, this white guy, just like, actually, I was here first.
I'm fasting too.
This is actually this is about me.
Yeah.
But I told you the funniest thing, and I told you, and I think I spoke to Hisham about that, was you don't realize how many photos of food there are out on the street at restaurants and everywhere until you're not eating.
Yeah.
And I'm just walking down Bloor Street, and I'm just like, it's everywhere. There's pictures of food everywhere.
It really is.
And you don't notice it when you're not fasting, but like try fasting and then walk down the street, you're like, it's literally everywhere.
Yeah.
It's so hard. Yeah.
It really is. I didn't notice, or like, I was so jealous that you made that observation because it's such a good bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, God damn it. Now John's writing Muslim material better than me.
No, I never did it as a bit.
Oh, you should. It's so funny and it's so relatable.
Yeah.
Also, you were like, Nour, watch out on Bloor. There's more taco places than you think.
So
and
many.
that's true.
So many.
Every block on Bloor, there's a taco place.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
And they're all good. I started watching a documentary called The Taco Chronicles, and there's like 3 seasons of like different tacos and Mexican food.
Oh, wow.
And then for like, I'm not even kidding, for 3 months, I think I only ate tacos and like burritos and tortillas. But honestly, I was like, these are amazing. And like, there's literally like, where I live at Bloor and Dufferin, there's literally like, I think like 8 to 10 taco places in that small, like 50-yard area.
Yeah, there really are.
Listen, I'm not mad about it.
I'm not either. Yesterday, I actually had a tostada and a burrito for lunch and dinner at Tacos El Asador. It's my favorite taco place.
That's a good place.
It's a favorite like Latin American food place in the city.
Yeah,
One of.
Yeah, but there's so many though.
There are, yeah.
There's so many, and I want to eat all of them. That's my goal.
It's like now you're on an opposite of Ramadan diet. Now you're like everything. I'm gonna eat it all.
No, I've been trying to get fit. So I've been out running and stuff. So I'm trying to get like back on a better course of eating. But you know how it is in the pandemic and post-pandemic life is like you get into that bad habit of just eating shitty food all the time. And as a comic, you know, you do shows, and then at like 11 o'clock at night, you're like, I'm so hungry because you've just been like performing, and then you're like, then the only thing opens is like A&W, and then you eat a burger, fries, and a Coke.
I can't eat A&W by the way anymore.
And then you go to sleep.
Yeah, it ravages my digestive system.
Why am I not asleep? I just drank a liter of Coke before going to bed at midnight.
I will say that. So I actually took a break from fasting for 2 years for my mental health. Like in the pandemic, I was not doing well. You know this because you and I are really good friends. And so And there's nothing in Islam that's like, oh, you can take a break when you're like physically ill, but not mentally. So that was a hard moment for me because I was like, I know I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm so depressed to the point where like this was during the pandemic and a year after, and I was like, I'm struggling just to be alive. And I'm not gonna like, already I feel like I'm wearing this weighted vest of life. And it was actually so 2 years I didn't fast. So I think it was 2024. So last year was when I was like, I'm gonna fast again. And what really was one of the factors that like made me so like feel so strongly about fasting again was being in solidarity with people in Gaza and like seeing them and what they're going through. And this was in 2024, when we kind of knew what was happening, but not that the mainstream media is accurately reporting now, but it really wasn't saying anything back then. And just to see the humility and to the strength of the Palestinian people. And I just felt like I did as much as I could, like, and you were such a great friend to me because I was feeling down about not doing enough. And you were like, no, you're hosting these fundraisers, you're going to protests, you're talking online. Like, you kind of reminded me that I was doing stuff, even though it didn't feel like it was enough. But for me, I felt like fasting was one of the ways where I could use my own body to stand in solidarity with them and to just like, I don't know. It just felt, and this year I did it too, but I didn't think I expected it to last this long. Like, we're at 600 days now.
But I think like you said something about like mental health. Like mental health is physical health though, as well, right?
What do you mean by that?
Well, all your mental health things come through your body as well,
Right.
You know, so if you're, if you're fasting or you're not eating, or you're eating, or you're going through a mental struggle, it's like your body goes through it too. So I think it's fine if you're mentally unwell. I think that's enough reason.
There's just such a stigma about it,
Of course,
you know?
You're always going to get people on, especially there's people who are more hardcore
Yeah.
about stuff from religion or anything.
Yeah.
Even vegan. There's like these hardcore people that are like, you can't eat avocados because the bees one time looked at a plant, and you're just like, well, I gotta eat something. Like, give me a break. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. But then that's, and I remember saying to you, because you were really depressed, just pandemic life, and then obviously Gaza and the Palestinian people was really sitting heavy on you. But I remember saying to you, I was like, you need to take care of yourself first mentally, because you can't, until you're mentally strong, you can't help anyone. You can't control what's going on. Being more depressed isn't helping yourself or the situation.
Yeah.
So but you were doing a lot as well, because you're like, I'm not doing enough.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, what can you do? You can only control so much of this situation. You know?
And I think I absorbed that helplessness that I felt. I absorbed it into my body. And you're absolutely right. Like, whatever you're going through mentally, physically manifests in your body.
100%.
And I don't think we're educated about that.
No.
Like, these are things we need to learn,
Most of our man-made diseases that kill us, like cancers and stuff like that, are caused through stress and mental health problems, and they can be cured.
Yeah.
And we don't talk about it, and no one knows about it until it's like too late.
Yeah.
So
totally. I read this book called The Body Keeps the Score.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like everyone read it.
It's a classic book. Yeah.
Classique. But yeah, it talked about how people were going through these physical ailments, and it was only until they sought help for these mental and emotional problems that the physical ailments got better or disappeared altogether.
Well, all your trauma and all your like mental health stuff and all, it's all trapped in your body.
Yeah.
And I started doing EDMR therapy recently.
You did?
I do. Yeah, I've started doing it. And you're doing the tapping, right?
I do the tapping.
Yeah, but it's only the tapping here. It's not the ones you do, but it's just like, and I started doing it, and I'm like, it's such a, like, you have to have a certain like mindset of being like, part of me is like, this is fucking bullshit, right? Like, I'm just, I'm tapping the fucking 40 years of trauma out my body, right?
Yeah.
But, and as I'm doing it, I'm just like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. I'm paying a guy $160 just to tap. Like, I could do this myself. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he's like, how do you feel? And I'm like, lying to him. I'm like, I feel great. I'm cured. I'm cured. I don't need any more sessions because this trauma is expensive, right? And but because like, as you know, as a stand-up comic, I'm not one for improv, but like you have to really yes and therapy a little bit, right?
I know, it's so hard.
But that being said, though, is like I think like there is some I don't know what word I'm looking for, but like there's some truth to that. But it's like if you've got trauma or stress or stuff trapped in your body, right? You have to sort of like, you can't really like maybe mentally understand it because it seems too crazy. Right, so you got to kind of be like yes and be a bit more like, okay, maybe it is tapping, maybe it is regulating your nervous system, whatever. I did a 10-day silent meditation. It was crazy, you know what I mean, right? And that's where you really go inward.
You did do that. I remember. I thought you were crazy when you told me you did that.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. Yeah. I'm going back again next month.
You are?
Yeah, but only for 3 days this time.
For 3 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is more than enough. 10 days, I was like, this is enough. But but I think a lot of the time we spend a lot of time, most of our problems are inside ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And we're not taking care of ourselves. We're taking care of the external things, thinking that those will make us happier or better, or taking care of people or buying things to help us and all that sort of stuff. But actually, like, the happiness is from, like sitting there meditating, just breathing. That's what I was doing. It was crazy. And then I was just like present. And I'd never felt that before in my entire life because there was just so much either depression or anxiety in my whole life. And I didn't realize how much that just created my own personality, right? So then when you're present and you're just like, I'm capable of anything. Life is good. Feel happy. Feel bliss.
When you're present.
Yeah. And then I got back to Toronto and I was like, boom, that way. 2 seconds, it just disappeared. But that's, that's when we talk about like stuff that's going on over like in Gaza and Palestine and you're like, it's getting you sad and your mental health is taking a toll and you're seeing all this war and starvation and famine and murder and all this every day, just like it's normalized. But you don't realize that just sitting on your phone staring at it for hours is it's not helping you in the slightest, and it's not helping any situation over there. So, having this podcast now, looking after your health, fasting again to in solidarity is things that are important. Yeah. And although you can't stop what's going on, it's if we can all start doing something like that slowly.
If we start within ourselves, it will create ripple effects in the world. Yeah.
Exactly. You just gotta go out into the world and be the change you want to see.
Be the change you want to see in the world, guys.
But that's kind of like, but you have to go out and you just have to go out and. If you're looking after yourself and if you're taking care of yourself and you're kind to people and you're nice and you're generous and you're going about with you're living your values and stuff, then the people around you will see that, and it's an infectious
energy.
People go, well, I want that too. I'm like, if he can do it, then I want to do that. It's like when I stopped drinking, people are like,
but it's hard because since we're young, we're brought up to seek external validation. Like the systems we're under, for example, like capitalism and fashion, women, we're taught that we have to be fashionable from a young age and we have to buy whatever new product comes out. And that means something about me. If I wear the new sneaker or the new like trend, then that means something about myself. And it really doesn't. It doesn't matter what I wear. It matters who I am on the inside. And that's not something we're taught at all. We're taught that how people perceive you is the most important thing rather than who you actually are.
Well, because it's easier, like to keep the people down,
Yes.
That's what it is. Because when I was meditating and I was feeling all these feels and I was present and I was the most present I'd ever been, the best I'd ever felt. And I was like, there's a way, like we can actually, like this is how you solve every issue in the world, just from breathing and meditating and it doesn't matter what religion, age, sex, gender, whatever. It's like it's available to everyone for free.
Yeah.
And I was like, why don't they teach us this at school? And it's like they don't want us to know that.
Yeah.
Because if the people that are in charge of the government or the wealth elites, whoever, find out that like everyone did that and we all just sort of like
felt like we were enough.
Yeah. And then we'd see so much wrong in the world.
Yes.
That we would uprise and change it all. And these guys would, so they don't want
their, they would cede their power, their wealth, their money.
They want us miserable. They want us stressed. They want us ill. They want us on, the pharmaceutical drugs. They don't, like that's what I realized from, when I started sort of looking after myself more, was that a lot of doctors, in fact, when you go to doctor training, you only get like 2 hours of like nutrition training and a 7-year degree.
Right.
Right. So when you go in with like an ailment of like depression, anxiety, ADHD, trauma, whatever, how often have you been to a doctor and said that to the doctor? How often have they said, well, are you sleeping? Is there any problems in your life? Or are you drinking enough water? What do you eat? Are you exercising? They never ask you that. They just go, here's some pills.
Yeah.
And then you go, okay. And then you take these pills and then you feel better for a second. And then you're like, am I just on these pills forever?
I agree with you. I just do want to say that when I was in the pandemic, I went on antidepressants and they saved my life. So
of course,
I don't want people to, I completely agree with what you're saying, but I don't want people to be like, not take the antidepressants if it can save them.
But that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's no discussion with your doctor.
Right.
Before.
For me, I did have a therapist and I did talk to my doctor, and it was my therapist that, after years of talk therapy and we weren't really getting anywhere, and I was like so shut down from the pandemic, that I went on it. But I completely agree that like we don't look at the factors that are contributing to depression.
Yeah.
We just see it as a disease, and we just prescribe it medication.
Yeah, and there's no, I mean, antidepressants is fine because I still take them myself, right? But there's no course of action of like, okay, take this now because you're feeling XYZ. And then it's like, there's no check-in and there's no like maybe, on top of this, maybe you want to go do some yoga. You want to, how, are you talking to your friends? Are you isolated? That's what we need. But the thing is, that kind of advice is like from therapy or like nutritionists or whatever, is so inaccessible because it's so expensive.
Yes.
Right? I'm barely affording to go to therapy.
Yeah.
But I do it, and because I have the means to do it, but it's still a lot.
Yeah.
But most the people that need it most can't affordable.
People are probably working 40, 50-hour work weeks because we're under the thumb of capitalism, and they don't have the time to, or unlike you said, the resources to seek help in this natural.
Well, who's got $150? If you're struggling, $150 is like, if you're working minimum wage, that's like a third of your week's wages.
I had to go down. I used to go to therapy once a week, and I went down to twice a week because I just couldn't afford it. No, sorry, once. Sorry, I should hold on. I'm not.
Let's take that out.
I would go once a week, and I had to go down to twice a month. And right now, I do it once a month just because I got this writing job, and I'm traveling so much, and I just don't have as much time. But she's available in case I need like an emergency session, But yeah, like even people who can afford it recently, like since prices went up for everything after the pandemic, they just can't afford it. I will say there is a book that if people called Feeling Good by Dr. David Burns. It's like a $10 book. And if you read it, it's like a great place to start for people with depression. It's more about CBT therapy, so you could do it yourself, but it is there. And then also find like a free meditation app on the App Store.
There's so much resources out there. But one of the things is when, it's like when you're feeling like that, it's like the desire to try and like pull yourself out of it or look for that information or get help is hard and it's difficult. But there is a lot of resources out there, and I certainly, so many podcasts, so many books, even in your library. If you're like, I can't afford it, it's in the library,
I will say that I also turn to art. There, you and I, we have a favorite comic who, this is also a hard part of since this genocide started, is a lot of my favorite comedians have come out as Zionists. So
Sebastian Maniscalco's a
thank God, no. Sebastian Maniscalco, whenever I'm in a bad mood, I put this man on and he makes me laugh. But that's not what I'm talking about.
Oh, it's someone else?
Yeah.
Okay.
There is an incredible special on HBO called The Great Depression, and it's by Gary Gulman, who is very open about his own mental health issues, and it's about how he was hospitalized. And whenever I felt so down and out, I would put on that special and it would make me laugh. And there is something about turning to art about depression. Do you know what I mean? That it makes you feel less alone.
Well, I think that's why comedy is important, because laughing is so important when you're feeling like low.
I actually think I'm a comedian because I had a rough childhood, and
Wait, that's why we're all comedians.
yeah,
Or-
it's true.
That's not, oh, really? I've never heard that one before.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No. And I mean, we all had rough childhoods in comedy. Absolutely. I was talking to Allie Pierce, and she was like, she doesn't understand how people with well-adjusted parents are in comedy. Because they're like, go have dinner with your parents. We're doing comedy because we can't, you know? But laughing, just watching comedy on TV growing up made me feel so much better. I think in my nervous system and in my body. And that's why I've always loved it. I think that's my own theory as to why I gravitated towards it.
I also think that, these days with comedians are being more open about mental health stuff and making it more relatable and funny. They're taking like very hard subjects. Like Taylor Tomlinson has a whole special about being bipolar. So many comics are talking about being in therapy or whatever, or opening up more about stuff and making it more. Also, like, these are things that people are used to be like, we don't talk about that, right?
Yes.
We don't talk. Oh, you're depressed? Keep it to yourself. That kind of thing, right?
Yes.
But now it's out in the mainstream, and comedians are talking about it and making it funny. And when it's funny, it becomes relatable. And then you see someone and go, oh, I'm going through that too. I feel that too, and we're making fun of it. Not making fun of it, but we're laughing about it. And I feel better. I feel seen, and whatever, right? So, I think that's where comedy is important in these times, right?
Totally.
Sometimes we go about going like, oh, we're comics and blah, 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 our life sucks, whatever. But it's like people are struggling and they're going out their 9-to-5 jobs, or they're seeing all this stuff on the news, just bombarded with insanity every day. And then on Saturday night, they're like, I'm going to comedy club because I want to laugh and I want to have a good time. And what we sometimes don't realize as comedians is like, we will make people's week. Was like, they really needed that. They've had a hard week. Sometimes we'll ruin their week. But most of the time, they had a laugh, and that's like so cathartic. You know what I mean? Like, you go laugh and you laugh at special, you go see a comic, and for that hour, everything that's going on in the world just disappears for a second. And then it's just, and we're all just in that together with that audience that come up, so I think it's important. Art is important for hard times.
Yes.
In fact, best art comes out of hard times, I feel.
Totally. And also one of my favorite, it's called Hard Times, is a song by Paramore.
Hard Times. Yeah,
I love it. It's about her being depressed and coming out of her depression.
Right.
So it's music, it's comedy. Also, I'm sorry, I have to shamelessly plug my album just came out. It's called, thank you. It's called, thank you, Youssef. It's called Muslim All-Star. And I have a chunk of jokes about my depression. So, and it's free. You can stream it on Spotify. So if you'd like to listen to my jokes.
You can also buy it on Bandcamp.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, you should be able to.
Not on Bandcamp.
Yeah, you make money from it.
Mine's on iTunes and Amazon, but it's not on Band. I'll see if I can get it on Bandcamp.
You should speak to your manager.
I should. Yeah. But if you buy it on iTunes or Amazon, I am donating all the money to the Palestinian Children Relief Fund.
Okay, good.
So yeah, there's that too.
And how are you feeling about having your album out?
I didn't realize it was I didn't realize how big of a deal it was.
Right.
I think it was just like, oh yeah, my album's coming out, and the response has been really nice. I think for the next one, I'll do some sort of album release show. I think I now get why comics do it. I was like, I've just been like so tired, I think, and I didn't want the stress of producing a show. But I think next time I'll have it. But it's been nice. Thank you, John. You have a great album out.
I do.
What's it called?
It's called. Well, it was called Scottish Cunt, right? And I put it out. And
I love the name.
It's recently been sold to some streaming network, and they don't like that name, so it's now called something else. But I don't know if they put it out yet, so I don't.
Okay.
But you can find it somewhere.
You can find it somewhere. It's so good, and the special is out on YouTube too.
It's not anymore because I sold it to the thing.
You sold it. Okay.
Yeah. But they couldn't call it this. It's so embarrassing because I call it Scottish Cunt because it's just like, that's a word that we use in Scotland, but it's also kind of funny. But people, I realize people here, it's not good for marketing purposes,
right?
Because people are like, right? I'm like, I feel like that's why I didn't win it. That's my feeling.
The
on
Canadian
that.
version is Scottish vagina.
But they wanted, so they changed it to the Scotsman, which is so embarrassing.
Oh,
But
I like that.
No, I don't like it.
Why?
Well, it's so cheesy.
Oh, I don't think it is.
I think it is. Anyway, but congratulations on your
Thank you.
new album.
Oh, thank you, John.
Yeah.
I like the titles of our albums though because they tell people who we are.
Yeah.
Like we incorporate our background and our personal like ID, which is a through line in both of our albums.
Yeah, I think especially with your debut album, it's like you talk about who you are, your identity, you're kind of coming up with your voice. For
Yeah.
me, it was like living in Canada and
As a Scotsman.
as a Scottish person, being an immigrant, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And the same with you, similar stuff, becoming a Canadian citizen.
Yes.
Or like, coming from Jordan, a place where people over here don't know a lot about it. So you got jokes about that. And that's kind of like, and then the album the album title reflects all of that. And it's like your first 10 or 12 years in comedy too.
Yes.
So it's like exciting, right?
Yeah. What people don't realize, it's our first at least 10 years in comedy go into our first album. How long, how many years of comedy were in your debut album? Maybe 10?
No, not that many. When did I release it? Maybe, maybe like 7 or 8, I think.
7 or 8. Okay.
But
Still a lot.
Still a lot, yeah. It's still a lot, but also like you realize that it's like at some point you're like, I have to put that out
Yes.
because now I'm not this person.
Yes.
And my voice has changed.
Yeah.
And when you start out, I find, well, for me personally, it's like starting out in comedy, you're just kind of trying to figure out who you are, what you want to talk about, your voice, what are my opinions, like, and all that. And then since, a lot of the stuff in my first album is more about me being a fish out of water, sort of, living here, moving here, and all those struggles now. But my second album, which I'm going to record soon, is more personal.
Oh.
And then
This
I'm
is
like,
news to me.
it is breaking news.
Yes.
On the Nour Hadidi podcast.
The Nour Hadidi, you heard it here first.
Yeah. It's going to be more personal, which is harder because I think like Fisher War stuff is like easier to write, I find.
Yeah.
And it's easy. It's more accessible to comedy audiences, especially if you're working at a comedy club or something on a Saturday night. Whereas the stuff I'm talking more is more personal about mental health and sobriety and all that sort of stuff. So it's more it's challenging to make that funnier and relatable. But I have had people, it's interesting when you talk about things like that. Sometimes people are like, just like, it's Saturday night, I want to hear about that, whatever. But sometimes you get people come up to you after a show and be like, thank you for talking about stuff like that.
Right.
And then you realize, but I'm just talking about it because it's true with me right now.
Yes. It's authentic.
Yeah, I'm not like doing it. I'm not like as a, I can't talk about anything that's not currently going on. It's hard. So, and I find my voice is changing more into sort of like personal storytelling sort of stuff rather than just kind of like, hey, Tim Hortons and all that sort of stuff, right?
Right. And do you have a date for your album recording?
I'd like to take this moment to to speak to Gary Rideout Jr., the manager of Comedy Bar,
Yes.
who has not replied to my multiple emails on that.
Oh,
but yes,
no.
hopefully the end of August I'll be doing that.
Owner Gary Rideout.
Yes, please
Please,
tag him in
Gary.
the comment. We need John's new album.
Gary, please, the people need this.
No, I'm going to record with Comedy Bar. I think end of August is what they're looking at. We'll see. But yeah, hopefully out this year.
Okay, amazing.
And then, but the thing is now with you're talking about like using art, your voice, and all this sort of stuff. Now is, I think after this album, I think I know I want to get more into that world because that's what's important to me.
Sorry, which
Like
world?
mental health, sobriety.
Yep.
Trying to figure out your life as like, like what is my purpose? What am I doing? Like a lot of my life because I was like drinking and partying and doing drugs for most of my life, right? And then getting sober, you're like, well, who am I now? And then as I was kind of discovering that, the pandemic happened, and then you kind of go back, you kind of revert a little bit, and now you're like, all right, I'm 44, I'm here, I don't know what's going on, what's my purpose? I never like, I'd always just like come from a world of like, we don't have dreams, we drink.
Is that Scotland?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's specific to Glasgow as well. It's like, you just, everyone drinks, everyone just has a job in a factory or a call center or something really basic. No one really like is if you have ambition, everyone's like, look at, like they'll make fun of you for it and sort of belittle you for it. And there's a very negative mindset. And, well, it used to be anyway. I don't know if it still is, but like I don't think I'd be a comic if I still stayed in Glasgow. I don't think I'd be sober if I still stayed in Glasgow,
Wow.
because I live in that world. And
Wow.
it's environmentally, that's what it was. Everyone sort of grew up like that. So now I moved here, but then I struggles with getting sober, pandemic, and now I'm like, well, what now? And that's kind of where I'm at in my life. It's like, what's now? Which is
scary.
It's scary, but it's also like, I want anything is possible now. I can do anything.
Yeah, and it's exciting.
But also it's exciting, but it's scary, and it's I'm nervous, but I'm also like, oh, this is going to be good, because I'm like, I'm going to figure out a lot about myself. But there's also going to be, I think it's also I think comedy comes from a place of relatability as well. So it's like, I think everyone has these struggles as well.
Yes.
And I think talking about these things,
I think comics talk about them more because sometimes you go up and you don't have something to talk about. So you're like, I'll just tell you about my life.
Yeah.
And I feel like we are more open and we do share more. I want to ask you why you decided to move to Canada out of all the other places in the world from Scotland.
Well, it's like, it's not a very interesting story, but it's basically Canada is one of the very few places that has an agreement with the UK for working holiday visas.
Okay.
And between
Commonwealth, baby.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, very pro Commonwealth, this podcast.
Yeah.
Shout out King Charles is here.
Well, well, I wanted to ask you, King. Okay, answer that, and then I'll ask you.
I won't say anything bad about the king until I get citizenship. No, I'm just kidding. I came here because I was turning, so you can only get it at the time. I think you only get it between 18 and 30. Okay. I'd already lived in Australia in my early 20s.
You did? I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, and then when I came back, when I went to Australia, I only went because my girlfriend at the time's uncle lived out there. I had no interest really in traveling outside of, like, at the time, just going on holiday to beach locations or whatever, right? And I only went because she was going and blah, blah, blah. And then we were only supposed to go there for a year, but then we ended up splitting up. But then I was out there and I was like, oh, there's more to the world than just Glasgow or Scotland or partying or whatever. But then I came back and then I got into a world of just like a lot of drugs, a lot of drinking, and it started just getting worse and worse and worse. But then I was like, I need to travel or I need to get out here for a bit or do something. But because I was turning 30, I was like, well, the only place I could go was either Canada or New Zealand, because those were the only two other places available. And New Zealand was so far, and I'd already been to Australia, that I was like, I go. My roommate. Sorry, that was it. My roommate had been in Canada.
Okay.
And she'd been in Toronto because she was born here, but she was like, I think you would like living in Toronto. And then I was like, cool. And then I booked a flight, and then I almost didn't go. And then I got a visa, and you get a year to go in the country. And I was like, I don't even want to go to Canada. I don't even know anything about Canada. I didn't really even care. But then I was like, I booked the flight. I might as well just go for a bit anyway. Mm-hmm. And that was it. So,
and then you never went back?
Never went back.
Wow.
No. I almost left after 2 weeks because I moved here in January and it was minus 25, which was a temperature I didn't know was legal. And I walked off the plane and I didn't have even a winter coat or anything. I was just like, oh, I think I made a mistake. And then this is true. I also I just did no research, and I turned up to, I thought for some reason Toronto was a cheap place to live, based on nothing. And I just said that's cheap, right? And I turned up in Canada with $1,000, and that was it. And then I got a place to stay, and I think at the time that was $500 for the month. And luckily she didn't charge me first or last. But then after 2 weeks, I was broke, and then I couldn't get a job anywhere because no one would hire me, and I didn't really know what to do. And I was walking around the financial district, where is everyone? Because in the UK, the city centre is where everything is.
Okay.
People live there, people go there. So I'm like, I'll just go to the city centre of Toronto, and I'm walking around the financial district in the middle of winter time.
Oh no!
And it's just freezing and snowing, and I'm just like, where? I was trying to find work. I was just I couldn't find anything, and this was before smartphones and all this sort of thing were kind of a thing. Really, it was kind of happening, but I was kind of delayed in the technology and stuff of it. But I just kind of, for some reason, I just figured I'd just come here, find a job, and everything would be all right. And after 2 weeks, I was had no money, and I was actually, you know what it was? I was walking down Queen and Church, and I couldn't get a job, and there was a flight center. Remember flight centers?
No.
Like an actual travel agent.
Oh, okay.
Like where you would go in to book a flight.
Yes.
Which sounds like so ancient, but that's,
Yeah.
So I was walking up Queen and Church, and I knew there was a flight center up there, and I had just enough money to get a flight home. And I remember thinking to myself, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to get a flight home.
Oh.
Fuck this. It's freezing. This is a weird place. What was I thinking? And as I was walking up, I got a phone call from a temping agency wanting me to do like, I think it was, I can't remember if it was like inbound customer service for Bell Media, for Bell cell phones and stuff. And it was 2 weeks training paid. And I thought to myself, you know what? At least it would be 2 weeks of money for, I don't want to do the job, but at least I'll do the training for 2 weeks and get the cash, and then maybe I'll meet some people.
Right.
And then that's it. So that's how I ended up staying. So I got
Bell
that job.
Let's Talk is why you're here.
Yeah. Shout out to Bell Media for, yeah. But that's what happened. And I started meeting people from that. And then that was it.
The Irish have been so, like when it comes to the United Kingdom, the Irish have been so incredible with Palestine. Why are you not Irish, John? That's what I want to know.
Well,
why are you only Scottish?
Yeah, well, that's not my fault. That's just through birth.
Okay. Escaping responsibility,
yeah.
classic. Classic colonial reply.
The band Kneecap.
Love Kneecap.
So
yes.
So there's a fest. I don't know. You probably don't know this. But, there's a festival called Transmit that's happening in Glasgow. I don't know, somewhere in the summer, I think, and it's like it's in Glasgow Green, which is a big outdoor space. And Kneecap were supposed to be on it, but they've been pulled off the bill because it's on the it's live on the BBC, and then the BBC was like, Kneecap have pulled out of the festival, and they were like, hang on a minute, we were told that it would be too much. The police, it was like it was going to be too much of a big event, that the police couldn't handle it because it was going to be riots or something, right? And that wasn't actually the truth. It was. They were told they couldn't do the festival because it's going to be live on BBC.
And they can't censor them.
They can't censor them, and you know exactly that they're going to have pro-Palestine and
Free Palestine. Yeah.
And the BBC obviously, don't want that. So that's what's happening right now with Kneecap. They're basically getting all their gigs sort of pulled from them.
That's horrible.
But they're not giving up. They put on another show somewhere else in Glasgow.
And it sells out?
Oh, like pre-sale sold out in seconds.
Wow.
So
that's the thing. The people, everyone in the world is we know the narrative, we know the truth, and the ruling class, the media elite, they're trying to hide it from the masses, but they're just failing. And it's artists like Kneecap who are bearing the brunt of it. Mm-hmm. I love Kneecap.
But I mean, there's lots of artists now that when October 7th happened, everyone was very like hesitant for a while, and people that were posting any sort of pro-Palestine or free Palestine sort of stuff, or were getting cancelled or dropped by their agents, or so everyone was like, oh, I don't want to
say anything
just because my career or whatever. But I've noticed in the very like. And Kneecap were one of the bands that, like, no, right off the bat, just, that was their thing. So, but I think because of them, and also people who haven't given up with that, is that people are now seeing this and going like, oh, actually, you know what? This is a bad thing. Mm-hmm. We need to address this. And more celebrities, more people in the world are actually talking up about it. And I've seen more support for it than before.
It almost feels fake, though. Like, I think a lot of UK celebrities came out and signed a letter to the PM, and Malala was one of them. And I feel like Malala is now just like, she's like a spokesperson for the corporate machine, believe it or not. Like, she's
living in Malala land.
Oh,
sorry.
No, I love it. Yeah, we're going to go viral with that. No, but I feel like now there's been a shift and people have been allowed to talk about it because of the starvation. It was fine. Bombing was fine. Siege was fine. Isolating fine. Burning them alive was fine. But it's only starvation where people are drawing the line now.
Yeah. They're like, everything's, that's okay.
Yeah.
Starving people, okay. That's
where,
we got to do something about that. But yeah. But that being said, it's like, you can say like, these people are speaking up and maybe it's like performative or whatever, but it's still better than nothing, I feel.
Absolutely.
And I feel like even though that might not be ideal, but it's still better than no one doing anything.
Yes.
Which is, is worse, is not speaking up and just letting it.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people were like that for a long time, including myself.
They were scared.
Because you're just like, because we saw from the pandemic where there was like all the stuff with Black Lives Matters and all this, it's like we all started like supporting it, and then people would be like, no, that's wrong. And so everyone's just like, well, what's right and what's wrong? And everyone's just like coming out of COVID, confused. What's the real answer here? But I think people are waking up to it
I
now.
think I'm so lucky that I was born and raised in Jordan that I know the truth in my bones.
Exactly.
Like I've seen it. But I've also had a transformation myself through comedy, through therapy that we talked about earlier, where I don't need the outside world. I just need myself, and I internally have my values, and I know what's right and wrong. And I'm not scared to say it because I know deep in my heart and in my body that I don't wish any ill will on anyone. I just want justice, equality, and peace for all.
And that's what actually one thing that from moving to Canada, and also that for comedy, that really like changed my world perspective of everything, was when you're in comedy and you live in Toronto, you meet everyone from every walk of life, from everywhere around the world, every like place, every religion, every gender, every sex, every whatever, right? And you get to see them as people, and they tell you their lives through their comedy, or you get to talk to them and hang out, and then you realize like, oh, all this stuff that we've been told about XYZ is a complete lie, and everyone's great, right? And like, most of my friends are from like all over the place.
Most of your friends are people of color.
People of color, yeah.
Yeah, like Muslim or...
Exactly. I don't have many white friends.
Yeah.
But that's, back in Glasgow, it's like most people are white.
Yeah.
And then it's just in the same mindset. But you come over here, everyone's got different stories and different ways of lifestyle. So you kind of start to understand people's struggles, or where they came from, or what their life's about.
It humanizes them.
Yeah. And, and then you go, and you have a better worldview from it. So...
Totally.
That's one benefit I have from starting comedy here.
I wanted to share one last thing, which was in a clip from my beloved country of Jordan. If you've ever been to Jordan, you've heard of Petra, which is a city carved in stone, but there's also a place called Wadi Rum, and a lot of the movies that are supposed to be set in Mars shoot there. Like Dune parts of Dune were shot in Jordan.
Oh, that's why I like Dune so much.
That's why I like Dune. It's not why. I am obsessed with Dune. John and I watched Dune 2 together, and it was only until after we came out of Dune 2 that he told me he hadn't seen Dune 1.
I got the gist.
Yeah. But this is a techno party that was in Wadi Rum, which is like a 4-hour drive from Gaza. Let's see. And I just thought it was like so tasteless. Like, that's the Jordanian flag, by the way, not the Palestinian one. That's enough. But I don't know. I saw it and I just felt so mad.
Mad at the festival?
Yeah. Like this happened a couple days ago. And it's like, I don't know. It kind of reminded me of the Nova Music Festival and how they were partying next to a concentration camp. And what's even worse is that, I don't know.
Where's that happening?
In Jordan.
Yeah, but how close is it? Close to Gaza?
No, it's like, it's a 4-hour drive from Gaza, John. I don't know. It just made me really upset and mad. And I was like, why are you partying while people are starving and dying near you 4 hours away? Like, where is your solidarity? I don't know. It just felt, maybe I'm wrong. I'm not out here pretending to be like a virtuous, morally virtuous, perfect person. It just hurt my feelings to see that. And if I was in Gaza, I just put myself in the shoes of someone in Gaza, I couldn't imagine someone partying 4 hours away near me if I was trapped like they were. I don't know. What do you think, John? Do you have any thoughts on the matter?
I mean, I feel like, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I also kind of feel like this is such a like insane situation. It's like you need a release of like dancing or something, right? To like, it's not that people are there forgetting that there's a genocide and people are starving out there. It's like they still have to like, they can't just be going around miserable and not living the life. They got to dance a little bit, right? You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I get what you're saying though too, right?
Yeah.
But also, people have to have some sort of hope or joy in their life and dancing.
I don't know. I just, to each their own, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, there is like
I'll tell you where it is. I think that like people in Gaza still have access to social media. And I think if they were to see this, it would make them feel even less alone.
Yeah.
Sorry, even more alone than they already do.
Well, it's not the same thing, but like, remember during COVID when we were in lockdown and the rest of the world wasn't in lockdown?
Yeah.
And you're sitting watching videos of people living their life, you're like, what the fuck is going on, right?
Yeah.
That's the only way I can relate to that. But I mean, obviously a million times worse.
No,
but like,
this is a great way. If white people, if you remember what COVID was like, Gaza has just been on lockdown for years. They've been under siege. They don't have an airport. They can't leave. They're controlled. So like you could barely do lockdown for what, a year? They've been doing it their whole lives.
They can't make sourdough bread. Can't watch Tiger King. It's not the same.
Oh, John. John is one of the funniest people I know. Truly, we'll be like talking and you're so good at like riffing, you know, which I hate you for.
I do think that the solution to, world peace is the upcoming Oasis reunion.
Oh, okay.
See how I just sneaked that one in there?
I love it.
Yeah.
You're a huge Oasis fan. Were they your
Yes.
first concert?
Yes.
Okay.
1994.
Wow.
1995, actually. I was 14.
You were 14 and you saw Oasis in Glasgow?
Just outside Glasgow.
Wow.
Me and my sister went. We sat there for 5 hours. Back when there was no phone. My dad, I don't understand this because when me and my sister were younger, we would go. We were underage to go to these concerts. You're supposed to be 18 or whatever, right? There was no like. We only had landlines back then. There was no internet, right? My dad would just drop us off and somehow find us again.
What?
I have no idea how that worked.
Yeah.
Like coming out of a gig with thousands of people, like in the middle of the night, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's
I think
crazy.
I was saying to you the other day, I was like, I think if the world leaders go look at like Liam and Nour and go, well, these guys can get their they can settle their differences, then we can settle our differences,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I think the Oasis reunion will bring harmony and peace to much needed peace to not just the Middle East but to the world.
Yes.
Through the brothers Gallagher coming together
Yep.
and playing their music.
Yes.
That's what I believe.
Because you and I are going to live forever.
Exactly, right?
Yes.
So
I remember when we first, that's an incredible point, John. Absolutely. You actually have a live forever tattoo.
I do.
I remember, ooh.
Right there.
Yeah. I remember texting John because we bought the tickets and John was like, listen to these albums. And I did. And I listened to, I think, What's the Story, Morning Glory.
Yeah.
And I loved Live Forever. And I texted him, John, you and I are going to live forever. And he just texted me back a photo of that tattoo. And I was like, okay, you win.
Live Forever's on definitely maybe though. Nour, you got to get that right.
So sorry. The first album is definitely maybe.
yeah.
Oh, I
You
apologize.
got to get it right.
John,
You got to get this right, or else
please
you're not coming
forgive-
to the
you-
gig with
I
me.
almost I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, John, for making that mistake.
It's
I
okay.
feel like I offended you personally when
It's
I got
okay.
the albums wrong.
It's okay.
But yeah, maybe if Liam and Noel can do it, so can the rest of
Exactly.
the world.
You know they hated each other, never going to get back together. But I believed.
Did you really?
I did. I manifested the reunion. I will go on record
So
saying
it's
that I manifested that.
You're
Yeah.
the one who
I
made
manifested
this
that.
happen.
And then people thought I was crazy. I'd be posting on social media during the pandemic,
Yeah.
and I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen.
You knew?
I knew it
How
was going
did
to
you
happen.
know, John?
I just felt it.
Wow.
I just could feel it.
Anything
And then
else you can feel that would help us personally? Like, do you know what I mean? Any lottery ticket numbers you feel?
No,
would win?
I used my one wish on an Oasis reunion.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
that was it. I used my powers of manifestation, and now that's it.
Love it.
Yeah,
Well, thank you, John.
Well,
and
thank you.
hopefully this will be the first step towards world peace.
I think so. I think this is the first step towards peace. Oasis reunion, and you'll see it. I guarantee all the work. Trump, Macron, Netanyahu, they all be like, you know what? Let's just solve it. Let's just world peace. Everyone, universal basic instant housing for everyone. The world will change, and it'll be because of Oasis.
Yes.
I truly believe
All
that.
roads lead to Oasis.
Exactly.
Okay.
100%.
Okay. Definitely or maybe?
Definitely, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
A wrap on John Mostyn. John, where can people find you online?
At J Mostyn Comedy on all social medias. And
go to your album recording in end of August.
Yeah, follow me on Instagram. I'll post about it soon. And come see me live.
Yeah.
Baby.
And John runs a great show on Wednesdays in Toronto called You Heard It Here First. It's where professional comedians try out jokes for the very first time.
Yep.
So
we had to cancel it last night because we didn't have any ticket sales. So please come.
Please come. Yes.
Please come, because that's the first step for
to have a show.
To have a show
audience
and,
participation.
Audience participation.
Okay.
And yeah.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
You're
Thanks
the best.
for having me. Are we clapping again? Okay.
We clapped preemptively before we could plug you.
Okay.
Yeah. Foot 5.
Oh.
Thank you for listening. If you like this episode, if you like the podcast, please consider joining our Patreon and supporting us financially to afford the studio, the editing, my producer, my audio engineer who work tirelessly behind the scenes. My Patreon is patreon.com/Nour Hadidi. And my comedy album is out. It's called Muslim All-Star, and you can listen to it anywhere, really. Spotify, Apple Music, really anywhere, all the other places. And yeah, that's it.
It is an agonizing reminder that the fight for justice knows no borders, and we must stand united.